3, 2, 1. Back at it. How do you feel about your team?
Well, you always feel better about them until your first day of practice, and then you start scratching your head a little bit. But, it's a typical team. We got some holes we got to fill. We got some inexperience that we've got to overcome. But I thought for the first practice, it was pretty good. They seemed to we had a good summer, and I think it carried over into today's work. And of course, we'll go again this afternoon. This will be our first day of 2 days, and then go to a single practice tomorrow, and hopefully continue to improve from practice to practice.
With Abby's departure, it leaves it to Miles now, a year's worth of experience. How do you see him having progressed from last year to this year at quarterback?
Well, I think his experience is obvious, and his leadership is obvious. He's a young man that has a lot of athletic ability. He's a guy that wants to be in that role. He relishes the pressure of being a quarterback. And I think for a guy that went into the situation he went into last year, could handle it about as well as he could have been handled. So we're really expecting big things from him. And Brock Hebert, who's going to be his backup, is going to play early in the season because he's earned that right to do that as a player. And so we feel good about our quarterback position.
You look at national rankings, you don't see yourself in there, you probably smile a little bit and relish that when you see others from Louisiana in there, right?
Yeah, shoot. Let me tell you, the only ranking that counts is the one in December. I was going to say the second weekend in December, but that's not exactly accurate. It's going to be, I think we're the first weekend in December. But that's the only one that counts, really. I mean, it's nice to have national recognition, but it's meaningless unless you win them. And so our goal is to get ready to play Covington in the Jamboree as a tune-up for the season, and then open up with a fine Mandeville team and go from there.
The rankings always seemingly based on recruiting and recruits by and large from a national basis.
Yeah, that's gotten to be more and more true, Kenny. And to be really honest with you, I'm not crazy about that. I certainly don't want to upset people's way of making a living, but I think there's too much emphasis placed on national recruiting with guys that really are getting their information from a lot of different sources as opposed to being really able to evaluate the players. There's no way you can evaluate players from all over the country. It's difficult enough for colleges and universities that do it all the time, much less for a recruiting service, to begin to assign stars. So it is what it is, and if that's how they're going to rank them, then that's fine. But the only ranking that I'm concerned about is where we are in December.
Finally, you'll have an announcement at some point today about the whole classification business, and when that occurs, I know you hope for a healing. You hope that whatever you decide to do helps in that regard. Do you foresee that happening in any way, shape, or form with people coming back together?
It's hard for me to put 90 years of history away. And I have over 40 years invested in this association, and 40 years of a good relationship in terms of the kind of teams that we've played. We've played in all kind of districts. We've played in inner city district. We've played in the Bayou district. We've played in our local River Parish district. We've had a great experience, and I think in 2014 and 15, we need to move past differences and find ways that we can work together to rejoin ourselves back together. And some people think that maybe this new proposal might be part of that process, and if it is, I'm all for it.